everyone today to this special webinar hosted by the African Studies Center. My name is Emily Burrell. I'm the director of the African Studies Center at UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm a historian and gender studies scholar. It's my great pleasure today to introduce our event, which features members of the acclaimed Senegalese social and artistic movement, Y en a marre. Our faculty member who co-facilitated this event will say a little bit more about the Y en a marre movement, but I want to thank Kilifeu, Thiat, and Malal for joining us today from Senegal. I wish I was with you in Senegal or that you were with us in Chapel Hill, but this will have to suffice until we can all be in the same space together. This event received special support from the College of Arts and Sciences from an initiative that helps all of us be together in this time of distancing. And I just want to thank our Senior Associate Dean, Rudy Colorado Mansfeld, for that support before we begin. Samba Camara is a teaching assistant professor in the Department of African American, and Diaspora Studies here at UNC. And he is the core faculty member who organized this event in conjunction with the African Studies Center. Dr. Camara received his PhD from Ohio University, and he is a specialist in African American and Black popular literature and Black culture studies. And he also publishes and teaches extensively on Black Islamic literature and cultural production. I'm going to hand things over to Dr. Camara, who will provide a more extensive introduction to our guests and to our discussant and co-facilitator and colleague here in the triangle, Piers Freelon, who we're also very happy to have with us today. So before, actually though, I hand everything over, let me say a few things about the guidelines for participation today. This is a webinar. We'll be a part of many. There are a number of us who are logged on today. Please use the Q&A as the format for posing questions. We will not be using the chat. Please use the Q&A. I also want to ask people to just acknowledge or to recognize that we will be recording this event. So just please be aware of that from the outset. This event will, I think, primarily be in English, but we will also be speaking French and Wolof, with translation provided on the side in the immediate sense by Dr. Camara and some of the rest of us on this webinar. So please enjoy this polyglot event. And with that, I'll hand things over to Dr. Camara.
Thank you very much, Professor Barro, for the fantastic introduction to the panel, but also for your constant support for events like these. And I would also like to thank the other members of the staff at the center, Ms. Ada Umenwarili and Ms. Stacy Sewell, for the immense work that they put into this. I would like also to thank our panelists, because I know they're all very busy. Thiat, Kilifeu, Malal, and Piers, they are very busy, and we are very grateful for accommodating this event, in your very tight schedule. The title of our event today, the webinar, is Rapping in Time: Hip Hop, Activism, and Social Change in the Black Atlantic. And the emphasis on the Black Atlantic here is just to sort of attempt to situate our current context, within the routes and roots of hip hop, which was born in the US. But of course, that hip hop's roots, or rapping, its roots can also be traced all the way to Africa. So there has been this sort of dialogue, or sort of a boomerang effect between Africa and its diaspora when it comes to cultural production. It's in an attempt to follow those roots and routes that we sort of attempted to have a hip hop artist, scholar, and activist, Piers Freelon, with us, along with a group of very active Senegalese rappers, on the other end of the Atlantic. So With that said, we'll go ahead and introduce them before we move on to the questions. Kirgi, which is one of the members of the member crews that formed Yanama, is originally from Kaolack in Senegal. The Kirgi crew was born in 1996, composed of Kilifeu, aka Kalashnikov, Thiat, aka Mastansis, DJ Z Master, who accompanies them to the decks, and managed by Pap Alun Gajaga. Already in 1998, they were beaten and imprisoned for having decried the illicit actions of the mayor of Kaolack in a piece. Their first album, entitled Premier Mi-temps, will not see the light of the day because it was censored by the authorities in place at the time. In 2004, they participated in the Africa Cœur Festival, followed by the release of their second album, Liram, addressing themes such as the interconnection between religion and politics in Senegal. In 2005 and 2006, they began tours of the country and also of the West African subcontinent in the Gambia, Guinea, and Cape Verde. The group confirms its leadership in the Senegalese hip hop scene by releasing in 2008 the album No Con Doléance, which will be rewarded many times. Best Group Album, Best Sales in 2008. They participated in 2009 in the compilation Sacré Corruption with the song It Stinks Here, and begins an international tour in Spain, Valencia, Murcia, Granada, Bilbao, Tarragona, etc. But also in France as well. 2009 will be the year of nominations for them. They were nominated for the Suno Music Awards Festival, the Micro d'Or or Golden Mic Award, Song of the Year in Senegal. In 2010, the group was nominated for the Africa Hip Hop Awards in South Africa and took part in the Découverte Music Festival of the French International Radio. In Senegal, Kirgi has also worked in the social reintegration of prisoners and has organized concerts, led workshops, and hip-hop conferences in prison. In February 2011, they participated in the World Social Forum in Dakar and produced a compilation for the cancellation of third world debt entitled Conscience Collective, highlighted with the single Quelle Dette, in partnership with the Committee for the Cancellation of the Third World Debt of Belgium. Between 2012 and 2018, Kirgi began several international tours in Africa, Europe, and the United States. On October 6, 2014, they released a double album entitled Encyclopedia, or Encyclopédie, recorded between Senegal and the United States, where they had stayed for a 5-month workshop. In the years that followed, they released singles that were very satirical with regard to the Senegalese state, which included Jogofi in 2014 and Sai Sai, which was very controversial in 2018. Malal Talla, aka Malade or Crazy Sick Guy, was born in St. Louis, Senegal. He has been rapping since the 90s with his first group, African Black Roots, with whom he had started. In 1998, he founded Bataillon Blindé and recorded the album Deguntan, which featured his first big hit that had propelled him to the national stage. In 2004, he played the first part of Youssou N'Dour's famous ball in Bercy. A committed artist, Malade has a series of hits, including Taximan with Vivian Do. His first solo album, Radio Cancan, or Radio Cancan, was released in 2005, followed by On Va Tout Dire in 2008. His latest creation is a collective work composed with his group Bataillon Blindé, Résistant, in 2012. Malade is one of the founders of the Yanama movement in 2011, in a context of social mobilization for the emergence of a new type of Senegalese. In 2010, he created with Malick Sarr, Guédiawaye Hip Hop, a structure working to reintegrate and train ex-cons in hip-hop profession and cultural production, open to all young people from the suburbs. Malade shares his experience of hip-hop as a movement for the emancipation of young people in the sub-region, in Europe and in the United States. In 2016, he went to France as a personality of the future as part of the PIPA program of Quai d'Orsay. Since 2005, he has worked with his group in the prison environment in the form of workshops, concerts, and conferences while fighting against long preventive detention. And last but not least, our Piers Freelon, who is a musician, director, and Durham City Council member. Piers Freelon is the founder of Black Space, an Afrofuturist digital makerspace for teens in Durham. He is the writer, composer, and co-director of the PBS animated series, The History of White People in America. He is a co-founder of Beat Making Lab, the PBS web series, which won Best Video Essay for its episodes, Heartbeats of Fiji at the 2015 Daytime Emmy Awards. His latest project is a children's music album titled DAD, which has been featured in NPR and Today's Show. Piers earned his BA in African and African American Studies at UNC Chapel Hill and an MA in Pan-African Studies at Syracuse University. He has taught in the departments of Music, Political Science, and African American Studies at UNC Chapel Hill here in North Carolina. Freelon ran for mayor of Durham in 2017 and was appointed to serve on Durham City Council in 2020. Piers is the son of six-time Grammy-nominated jazz vocalist Nina Freelon and the late architect of the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture, Phil Freelon. Piers lives in Durham with us here with his wife of 12 years, sorry, and their two children. So with this, I would like to begin our conversation now. And so this is how we'll be setting this up. I'll be asking questions to all our panelists. So some of them will go to Piers, and they may be slightly different depending on the context. So I'll start with Piers on the question number one. There's this important quote that I very much like by a famous scholar of American hip hop, Michael Eric Dyson, who says, hip hop music is important precisely because it sheds light on contemporary politics, history, and race. At its best, hip hop voices or gives voice to the marginal Black youth that we are not used to hearing from on such topics. So when did you become involved in hip hop, Piers? And what events or people had inspired you to choose a career in music?
Thank you very much, Nangadef brothers. It's a pleasure to be building with y'all. Hip hop, I grew up with hip hop. I mean, I was born and raised here in Durham, and it was artists like, LL Cool J, Queen Latifah, Public Enemy, KRS-One. They really influenced me growing up. It was so radically different from what my parents listened to and what they were about. I thought initially it was radically different. It felt different. The beats and the poetry felt different. And then as I grew and learned about the history of Black music, I learned about the through lines and the ways that, KRS-One might be rapping about stop the violence in 88, 89, but it was John Coltrane and Nina Simone who were rapping about stop the violence, in the 60s when my parents were coming up. And when I got to the department, the African American Studies department, they allowed me to trace those roots even further back to the blues tradition, even further back to the griot tradition of West Africa, and to understand that everything I know and love about hip hop has roots in places like Senegal and Ghana. And that was really inspiring for me to see that my lineage traced back to a tradition and a heritage of MCs and poets and storytellers that goes back hundreds of years. Because when you grow up in America, they don't, they basically teach you that your ancestors started as slaves in this country. And, first of all, we're told not to use the word enslave or slave because it's dehumanizing. So our ancestors were actually poets. They were scientists. They were mathematicians. They were brilliant. And they come from a lineage where storytelling and emceeing and battling and even the dap just goes back. And so for me, there are definitely some artists. I would say probably Nas would be number one, artist that influenced me and started teaching me about political issues and social justice issues. Nas was my favorite rapper growing up, and him and Lauryn Hill too, a little later with the Fugees, were very influential in my understanding of the world. But the further I dig deeper into the roots of hip hop, the closer I felt to my African roots and understanding our connection to the griot tradition. So that's what I got. That answer your question?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pierce. And I will ask the same question to now. The reason why I started with Pierce is because modern hip hop was born here in the US. Okay, following the route again of hip hop. So now to the Kyrgyz crew, could you please tell me what are those influences, that got you to start into rap music?
So thank you, Samba. Thank you, everybody. By the way, hi, everybody. So our brother Pierce, we appreciate what you just said. Nas also is one of our favorite MCs. So, but I can say that our influence was not by American hip hop, actually, which is very interesting. We were at the beginning of the 80s when hip hop came to Senegal. We was not aware about what was happening out like the other side of the ocean. A crew called Pifras, actually with Human, which is the guy who is doing Journal Rappe, inspired us a lot because the way that he was doing hip hop. His crew was talking about the real issues not in a funny way like the other first band was doing, but he was doing it in a straight way. Like he used to say, not Abidjouf maybe, but they used really to say the real things on in their sounds. So Pifras is one of the group who inspired us a lot. And then when we start doing what we are doing, people are asking us always the question, was always asking us the question, oh, do you know Public Enemy? Do you look like Public Enemy? Oh, do you know this MC? Do you know this rapper? And then we start looking at what they are doing because people was asking us the question if we were inspired by those American rappers. But to be honest, we were inspired by Pifras. Yeah. Samba, can you hear us?
Fantastic. Yes, I do. Fantastic. Malal, could you please share your thoughts about the same question? I think your mic is turned off. Your microphone is off.
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. What I want to say is first I want to say thank you to everybody, and I really appreciate to be part of this panel, of this webinar. And talking about hip hop, I always have a pleasure to talk about why I am doing hip hop. I start doing hip hop in 1994, but but in a very particular way. I am from a family. I am a Fulani, and my social class is I am a Torodo. And a Torodo, it is forbidden to a Torodo to sing. I have to be sung, but I don't have to sing. I don't know if I am understood or not.
Yes.
I have griots and slaves. Normally, my griots, they sing me. They sing about me, about my history. And in 1994, in Gejawai, I wanted to be the voice of the voiceless people. I wanted to be the loudest speaker because we had a lot of problems, and the local authorities didn't understand what the populations really needs, what the population really need. And then I say, I want to talk for my people. I want to be the voice of my people. And then I start with a group called African Black Roots, and then starting rhyming. And I was interested of listening Public Enemy, listening Tupac, listening Death Praise, listening Wu-Tang, listening all these American groups and some French hip hop artists. And in Senegal, when I start my hip hop, I like Chad. I appreciated the work of Pifras, who was a very committed hip hop group, a very interesting group. But the main message I need to share, I didn't hear it. And then I decided to form a crew, but blended, with whom I tried to find a new way of doing hip hop, because my understanding of doing hip hop, I wanted to make a very local hip hop, because I was what I saw in Senegalese hip hop was Senegalese hip hop, but it looks like American hip hop, and I wanted to make it more tropical. That's why I with my group, with my posse, we founded a new way of doing hip hop by creating a concept called Degantan. Degantan means the truth. It was calling people to do hip hop in connection with our social and moral values. Hip hop that does not imitate American hip hop. That's why and I wanted to represent mad people, crazy people in my hip hop, and to be more free, because that's why I choose the name. My stage name was Ndarud Zandadof, aka Fu Malade, to have a freedom of expressing myself. Yes.
You're muted, brother.
Thank you very much, Malal, for I always get that even in my class, fortunately. So a lot of things, a lot of questions came to my head, Malal, after listening to both of you, but I'm gonna have to just skip those, but just move on with the plan. So when Malal came to the hip hop stage, and also when Kurgi came on the hip hop stage, so personally, I consumed Senegalese hip hop, right? So when I looked at your style, it looked different. So Kirgi, for example, you would walk naked on the stage, you take off your shirt. So could you very briefly tell us why you were doing that? And Malal, after you tell me why you took that name Crazy Sick, right, as well.
Okay. You gonna start by Kirgi?
Kirgi, yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay, Samba. So when we started in 1996, Kilifeu and I, our parents didn't allow us to do hip hop at the beginning because they asked us to study, of course. So we were super young. We were 16 years old. So for them, do not going to school and doing something like hip hop was like, no, you're not gonna ruin your life with this, because the understanding of Africans in terms of art is like somebody who failed in the right path of, like, let's say, the crucis of a human being. For example, the logic is you go, you study, and you have a job, you become a banker or something like that. For the understanding of many people about art is like the artists are the people who failed in the normal crucis, in the normal path to become a banker or a professor or a teacher or something like that. So for them, they was like, wow, why are you doing this? And then when we started doing hip hop, we had the responsibility to be the voice of the voiceless in our city, which is Kaula. The hip hop started in Dakar, and all the hip hop artists was from Dakar. So our region, nobody was from there, and nobody was talking about our local issues. So that was a problem for us. So we decided to take our responsibility and say, no, we have our own realities here. Our mayor is somebody who's doing whatever he wants. He don't respect people. The Kaulak is one of the most dirtiest city on earth. We don't have any infrastructure. We don't have this and that. We don't have this and that, this and that. So then Kilifeu and I decided to be engaged politically, socially, of course, but politically engaged in our lyrics. And then the first song we wrote was against the mayor of our city. And then the first day we were performing that song on stage, the mayor sent some cops to come in and they not caught us, but they took us out of the stage. They kicked us out of the stage. And then on the way back home, we had like some bodyguards, we call them nervi. They caught us and then beat us very hard. And then they took off our clothes. Like, for us to do not go on stage with the clothes is to let them know that what we are saying is not because we have these clothes that we are hip hop artists. The hip hop we are doing is in our mind. So we don't need to have baggies or whatever it is to say what we have to say. It's about the message, what we have to deliver to the people. So that was the goal of being without shirt on stage, to show that, okay, take the clothes, take whatever you want, but as long as we can say something, we will use those words to represent our population, to represent the country or Africa and the worldwide. So that was why we were not going on stage with the t-shirt. And also, 1 week after, we were arrested by the same mayor with the police. And then, you know, when you are arrested by the police, you are naked. They let you with your panties and then try to check on you and stuff like that. So that's why we decided at the early beginning of our career to never wear a shirt. Until now, that is not anymore the reality of the crew, because we have now freedom to express ourselves, to say whatever we want. So we have like a wife beater on. So that's why we don't have the shirt on. Yes.
Perfect. I am saving Kilifeu probably for the next questions. I will have you speak in French, but we can just wait. We can come back to you later. Malal, go ahead. So this is Malal style, right? So when you hit it to the Senegalese hip hop scene, this is what I remember. So what was going on here? What was going in your mind, Malal, when you were doing this?
I decided to go by the name of Fumalat, first of all, to get rid of my civil name, because I wanted to reinvent myself. Because Malal Almami Talla, that name was given by my parents, and hip hop is a non. When you practice hip hop, you were in a you were a non-conformism, and this non-conformism I wanted to apply in my way of talking, in my way of dressing, in my way of living, because hip hop is a way of living. Hip hop is a philosophy. And Fumalad means the sick madman, means the crazy sick. And in our countries, mad people spend all their life in the streets because we parents don't have maybe means to send them to hospitals because it costs very expensive. And in our social way, you like you like, okay, you're not very feel comfortable to you don't want no. And then for me, hip hop is born in the street, and hip hop represents the people from the street. Hip hop is a popular movement, and the street is something very substantial for hip hop. The street is the substance of hip hop, and this substance we must keep it in our way of doing, in our way of flowing, in our way of making our rhymes, in our way of behaving. That's why I keep this name. I keep this name to when in our imaginary, in the Senegalese imaginary, when you say somebody, you are a fool, you are crazy. It means that this man can tell whatever he wants. It gives you the freedom to tell whatever you want. That's why I decide to call myself a Fumalat, to allow myself to insult, because to insult in my in my songs, to don't stand like a normal people, because when you are hip hop artist, you don't have to stand as a normal people. That's why I really choose this name.
Thank you, Malal. Thank you very much. And I'll get back to Piers now. Moving on to the next question. So I like to use quotes to sort of, unveil my thoughts and questions as well, Piers. There's this famous saying that Garvey had that I had of Marcus Garvey, who is famous for his Pan-Africanism, Back to Africa movement. So he said, "But people without the knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." End quote. So, as an African American artist and scholar, and now politician, how has Africa informed your music and scholarly work and thought overall?
Yeah, well, Marcus Garvey is one of many Pan-Africanists that inspire me. And there's actually, when I hear that quote, "A people without knowledge of their history is like a tree without roots," it makes me think of the Adinkra symbol from Ghana, Sankofa, which means go back and fetch it in tree. And, it really illuminates how you don't know where you're going if you don't understand where you came from. And for us as African Americans, the way that we're educated really erases our heritage. They try to snatch it out of your mind and make you believe that you are, you know, a product, a piece of property that, you know, that's function in life is tethered to this land, and that's just not our history. So understanding, you know, like for example, I remember the first time I went to Ghana, and I've been to Senegal as well. I've had a good plate of chepu jen in Dakar also.
Right.
But when I remember the first time I went to Ghana and I saw people dap, you know, how they shake hands. That's what we call it here, is dap.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a bunch of different ways. If you watch, especially people in sports, you know, they do all kinds of dap. And I remember they did a dap in Ghana where you snap your fingers at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, they must have got that from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or some, you know, what movie are they watching in the US that they got that from? And then come to find out with Dr. Kwabena Nketia, who is an emeritus professor at the University of Ghana, Legon, ethnomusicologist, he said that, you know, there's records going back 500 years that document English sailors coming to West Africa and seeing how they do this peculiar snap at the end of their dap, you know, from the 1500s and the 1600s when the Dutch and the, you know, and the English were first visiting the west coast of Africa. And that really that really hit me, because I said, hold up, you mean to tell me this whole time, like, this culture, this language, the way we play cards, the way we talk our trash, like, all that has a lineage in African culture that most Black people don't know anything about. And that's where you got your swag from, you know, your Genga, the language, the slang that we use is tethered back to Africa, you know, West Africa specifically, Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, you know, that's where a lot of our people who are here in Jamaica, in Brazil, in North Carolina, that's where we can trace our lineage back to, ethnically, culturally. So, you know, that was very inspiring to me. I feel my ancestors in this conversation, even, because you're right, hip hop was created in the Bronx. There's no question. But when our brothers and sisters, you know, on the continent hear something that's so familiar, it's almost like a long lost relative. Like, it may have been new, you know, but it's speaking to a tradition that's ancient, that goes back centuries. So I think hip hop is the glue. Hip hop and like reggae and dancehall too. Like, let's not forget
Definitely
that amazing genre of music as well. But I feel like that's the glue that can remind us of our roots on the continent, because the traditions go back that far.
very good, excellent. And then my next question to our Senegalese panelists, and starting with Kirki. So, in what context what context led you to the launch of the Y'en a marre movement in 2011? And how is the group funded, structured, and organized today in Senegal?
So we will talk about maybe how it started, and then Malal will move forward how organized.
Yes. Sounds good.
Malal.
Wow.
Yes, I was saying that we will explain maybe the beginning of the movement, you know, it started, and then you will move on with how we are organized.
Yes, okay, you can start it, yes.
So, cut your microphone, please. Okay. So, you know, we all hip hop artists in a way. Malal used to say that journalists are also hip hop artists, but in another way. So, in terms of like giving the information, in terms of telling the people the truth, the reality, what they are living, letting people know how to make people understand what's going on in the country. So hip hop is in a way of informing people what's going on in their community or worldwide. We've been doing that for so long that at some point we thought that, wow, there is something, because we are always talking about the system, talking about the politicians, always talking about the society, how the society is working, what is not normal, what is not right, what the politicians should do. We want more democracy, more this, more that, on our song, or in our song, or in an interview, or a radio station, or on TV. But it didn't change really nothing, because there is a problem. What is that problem? So in January 16, 2011, we were in a living room of one of our friends called Fadel Barro. Out of a discussion, Kilifeu and I was pissed off because we were supposed to fill up some forms to go to Brussels. So there was no electricity. And then we were there complaining. And Fadel say, hey guys, you don't have the right to complain because you claim yourself activist or artist or revolutionary, but what you or militant, but what you are doing is just slacktivism. You just talk about it. You never did anything really on the field or whatever. So we were like very frustrated that Fadel said that to us. And I say, Fadel, what are you talking about? If you look at our background, everything we achieved, so you are saying that we are nothing? He said, yes, you are nobody. You can't even do anything conscious, like anything constantly. What are you doing, guys? Other than rapping or releasing CDs and doing shows. So then, being frustrated, we told him, oh, Fadel, you are a journalist, but you are writing and nobody even read you because people don't even read in our culture. So, and then out of that, we say, wow, we both right. We both right. You are writing, not many people are reading you. We are talking, not many people are listening to us. So what we should do now, we should go to the next step. And the next step is to join the act to the words. How are we going to join the act to the words? We need to organize ourselves in something. So what? We start doing the brainstorming. We cannot organize ourselves in a movement between journalists and rappers because it will be super like a clan because not everybody are journalists or rappers. What we should do is to find a slogan that we will crystallize the frustration and the hunger of everybody inside, that everybody could identify themselves inside of that. And then we were thinking, brainstorming, ça suffit, groupe de trop c'est trop, doy na sëkk, dafa bëri, sonn nañ, tàyyi nañ. And then somebody come up with Y'en a marre, we say, there we go, this is Y'en a marre. Because Y'en a marre is a French that everybody could understand. Even the people who never study French, they know what mean Y'en a marre. Y'en a marre means we fed up. Mm-hmm. But then we say, okay, then there we go, we have the name. We fed up of what? First, we are fed up of ourselves. Why are we fed up of ourselves? Because whatever we call the system, however we talk about the system, we are part of the system if we don't say anything. If you don't agree, you have to say no. So then we are fed up of ourselves. We are fed up of ourselves because the streets are not dirty. We are dirty because we are the ones who are throwing their trash in the streets. So we are fed up of that. We are fed up of corruption. Who is doing corruption? Who is accepting corruption? We are doing corruption because I'm the one who give to the cop 1,000 because I need to go, or the taxi driver, or whatever. We are fed up of ourselves because Senegalese time, someone knows what it is. It means that you come 2 hours after the appointment, and we call that the Senegalese time because we say that we don't have the watch. The white people have the watch, but us African, we have the time. So that's the philosophy of this. And we say, no, we have to get rid of that attitude. We have to finish off those bad habits. We need to change our way of doing. So that's the first thing. We are fed up of the politician also. Why? Because the politician, since the beginning of our country, they are doing whatever they want. They are manipulating people. They are organizing whatever. They cut deals on the back of population. Why? Because the population are not aware. So our mission now is to make people be aware, to make people get ready to understand the manipulation of the politician, and then how. Now we get into the how. The how is through mobilization, through gathers, through an organization led by maybe a little group of people in everywhere, but we need to raise the local leadership awareness. We need to give responsibilities to the young people, because we cannot be in a country that maybe 70% are under 30 years old, and then the country is led by more than 65 years old in everywhere. So we say, no, it's time to finish with this. So, and then it comes to who are going to be part of it. We say everybody, no gender, no sex, no religion, no whatever. If you are fed up of yourself, if you are fed up of what's going on in the country with the politicians and stuff like that, you are part of Y'en a marre, because Y'en a marre is not a movement. Y'en a marre is a state of mind. The one who is fed up of being fatalistic, of being defeatist, or being just someone who say, oh, I just let somebody do, oh, that's God willing, oh, Senegal is like that. People say, Yalla bahna means God is good, Allah is good, He will fix everything. So we are fed up of that. We need to change this. So that's why the movement was born. And then, because of also the social context, the economical context, we were in a very tense social context. We were in a very lowest and let's say very down way of an economy to be down that period, because everything that Malade was doing, no electricity. You could stay like 24 hours. You only have electricity 2 hours. Everything was expensive. The basic needs was expensive. At the same time, we could see the son of Abdoulaye having 4 ministries and then being super arrogant, building a statue of the daughter was driving a rally and doing so many nonsense. And there was so many hunger and frustration inside of the population. So that's why the movement was born on the right time, at the right place, on the right moment to mobilize people. And then once we launched the movement with Malal and all those rappers who are in, we first at the beginning we sustained the movement on the crowd who was supporting those artists. And maybe we will talk about this further on, how the mobilization was organized in Y'en a marre, because let's say that Y'en a marre is kind of like use hip hop as a tool, use hip hop as a vehicle of the message of the movement, many ways, in many campaigns that we launched. So I will let Malal go into those details probably. So this is why and how and when we organized the movement, Y'en a marre itself. Yeah.
You're muted, Malal.
Thanks, Chad.
Yeah.
Malal, I think you're still muted. Unmute your mic. Yeah.
You hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Just to say that to add something about the context. It was a very complicated social context. A lot of corruption, a lot of bribery, a lot of problem of education, problem of health, a lot of problems. But we can say that also the population needs new voices, because they didn't feel themselves in political parties' ideologies. They needed new spaces where can feel themselves. But according to the organization of Yanamar, Yanamar is like two parts. We have Yanamar, meaning the protest, the protest. We have also the NTS. The NTS means the new type of Senegalese, as Thiat explained it. And we have a coordinator. We have a spokesman. Thiat, 3 years ago, Thiat was the spokesman of Yanamar. Fadel Barro was the coordinator. Now we have Aliou Sané as a coordinator. We have Ibamar as a spokesman. We had an artistic director, because we are a hip hop movement. We have a lot of hip hop artists in the movement, and we need artistic communication to support the movement, and we need we need artistic communication to sensitize, to galvanize, and to mobilize people. We have also what we call the Yanamar spirits. The Yanamar spirits, it's like everywhere in the country, in Kaolack, in San Luis, in Guédiawaye, where I live, in Thiès, everywhere in Senegal, we have branches of Yanamar. Branches of Yanamar trying to appropriate their local problems. It's for us the way to promote the local leadership, because we don't want to be like we don't want to be omnipresent like politicians, to be the Messi, to be to say like we can solve all our problems. It's like to help new generation or people in Thiès, in Kaolack, in San Luis, in the cities, to involve in politics, to become, to create new brand of leaders, brand new leaders like Saliou Ndiaye, who become very famous now in Yanamar. He goes for some radio shows or TV shows representing Yanamar, and that's the organization of Yanamar. And every Tuesday we meet at the headquarters of Yanamar in Parcelles Assainies to share information, and to take some decisions to see how to analyze what kind of problems are more important and what kind of issues we're going to find to solve these problems with the population. We receive also in the headquarters of Yanamar any type of Senegalese, all Senegalese people from any side, they come to share with us their problems, and we try to amplify the problems. We try to share the problems in a very high level, to make people understand the problems and to find the issues. Right. And what I want to say is that Yanamar is a very interesting movement. Myself, I feed because of Yanamar, I feed myself on politics. Because of Yanamar, I really understood that everything in this world is politics, and we can do politics without being in a political party. We can do politics without, even if we are hip hop artists, doing hip hop is making politics. That's the thing I really discovered with Yanamar. And when I was the artistic director of this movement, it helps me to understand how to how to be close to the people, and how to comment décortiquer, I don't know how to make more light.
How to break down.
Yeah, how to make lighter the political messages to bring this all these messages to the people, to get close to the population. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. So Senegalese hip hop has definitely verticalized.
I would like something, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead, please, quickly. Yeah.
So yes, I mean, we have to understand that also Y'en a marre was born also in a context that we have politicians, population, and a classic civil society.
Yes.
So the way that Y'en a marre came into the public space was as a civil society organization, but not a classic civil organization. Right. You know, we don't do campaign like the same. We don't launch campaign like the same. And I can say that we are, in a way, after Cheikh Anta Diop, the first organization to use Wolof slogan in politics. Like before, the people, the politicians, they were always using French.
French, yeah.
They was always using French slogan. There was the speech of the politician has a gap in between them and the population.
And the people.
Yes, exactly. Before the way and also, yeah, in West Africa, we are the first movement in the first movement after Tunisia. Yes. So then you can see how different it was. I just wanted to add this, and then let's.
I think Kilifeu wanted to say something. Go ahead. You can go ahead in French, and then I can briefly try to summarize. That's fine.
Non, je disais juste que Y'en a marre est le premier mouvement africain activiste.
So he was just saying that Y'en a marre is not just the first West African movement, but the whole continent, the first activists and artists together in one movement. We are the first. Y'en a marre is the first.
Right, definitely. And even if you look at the history of if you look at the history of hip hop, I mean, in the US, for example, I think rap has done a good job of speaking truth to power, asking Black people to get up and stand for their rights. But I do not know yet of a rap group, leading a movement, getting dirty with activism, sensitizing people, just really getting their hands dirty. So that's what makes Y'en a marre very unique in a number of ways. Yeah. So let's move on. I must say right away that I will not be able to finish all my questions because I just wanted to let you speak because whatever you were saying was very important. And so I will allow myself a last question, and then to do justice to the panel, I'll open up the Q&A session. I'm moving to the context that we live in, which is the context of the COVID-19. So this question goes to Pierce. To start off. So COVID-19 reminded us all about the historical vulnerability plaguing Black lives in the US. What has the pandemic, Pierce, showed you about Black lives in contemporary America?
Well, in America, COVID has illuminated some of the inequities that we already knew exist, some of the disparities. When Americans lost jobs and the unemployment rates rise because folks in the service industry are being laid off, restaurants are closing, music venues, all these jobs were lost. And unemployment in the Black community is twice that of the rest of the country, because a lot of those slave wage jobs, working class jobs, are jobs that Black folks occupy. And so, we're hit with the pandemic of COVID, certainly, but there were underlying conditions, so to speak, around poverty, joblessness, or just jobs that don't pay enough for you to support your family, You know, in Durham, where I live, there's been an uptick in violence because people are starving. You know, people are disproportionately not covered with health insurance. You know, educational disparities. You know, most of it's Black kids are the ones in public schools, and you know, when they made the switch to virtual learning, we're disproportionately impacted. You know, we're going to be behind when schools get back in because of, you know, we just don't have the resources. So, you know, like I said, COVID is an overarching issue, but it's just illuminating the extent to which racial inequity has been an issue. Wealth disparities have been an issue. You know, violence has been an issue. Healthcare coverage, education has been an issue. But now it's an issue that's amplified by the pandemic. So, you know, we're trying to figure out in Durham at the city level, we're trying to figure out ways we can help offset the ways that structural racism disproportionately impacts Black families and Black children, especially, but really Black folks across all aspects of society. So we definitely got some work to do, but that's my big takeaway from COVID.
Awesome. So also, before I let you go and then move on to Yadaba to talk about the Senegalese side of COVID issues. So what do you, I mean, I've seen some American rappers make songs, you know, but also others to sort of, you know, so what type of actions do you think any public figures like yourself, you know, you're not just a rapper, you are now a public figure, a politician. What do you think can be done, you know, towards this COVID pandemic?
Well, the first thing I think we can do is vote. You know, we have an election coming up in a couple weeks, and you know, if you look at leadership from the top down, our president has done a terrible job, you know, dealing with, speaking about, addressing the very real concerns of, where do I start? COVID is one of them. How about the environment? How about the economy? We could go down the list. But I think that, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't present that as an option and an important one. Go register, vote, make it happen. So there's that. At the local level, I think that, you know, getting involved, which is hard to do now, especially, you know, it's hard and it's something that I was going to say get involved with the local organization, but there are digital barriers now. You know, we can't physically gather in groups more than, you know, 50. We can't meet indoors, but with, you know, 20 folks now, I think. So it's tough, you know, but finding ways to connect with grassroots organizers in your community is huge. Because while the White House is, you know, fumbling on some major issues, it's the local government and the state government that have a bigger impact on your daily life. So I guess that goes back to voting, because you don't just want to vote for the president, you want to vote all the way down the ballot, from your state senators to your governor to your, you know, to your city council, you know, to your soil and water commissioner. All those things are important, and it's important that we have representation up and down that scale. But we don't want you just to vote and then be out. Like, I did my civic participation, I'm good. Like, there are organizations, and just speaking personally, thinking about Durham, you know, the Durham Committee on the Affairs of Black People have been around for 85 years. We have, you know, Durham Beyond Policing, there's Durham for All. There's so many organizations in different cities around the states have these movement workers and community organizers that are pushing politicians on different issues and doing work in the community to raise the consciousness and vibration of the people and to be responsive to their needs. And I think that's something everybody can do. Everybody can find an organization they can volunteer for, that they can show up at their meetings and be a part of their movements.
Right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Chris. Now I wanted to ask our Senegalese panelist, starting again with Kirgi. So I know you are a professional artist, you know, you make rap, you perform, you record to make a living. So what challenges have you faced during the COVID-19 pandemic, and what measures have you taken to survive those hardships?
Very interesting question. So, as artists and activists, I will separate those two sides. As artists, we faced that we couldn't do no more concert, no more recording station, nothing like with the crowd in person was possible. So we had to invent different ways of promoting or different ways of doing our art in this period of a COVID. So that's why there was some of the artists, they created what they call web concert or web radio show or web freestyle or web whatever. So we could see the imagination of the Senegalese artists that period. So they super imaginative, creating a lot of like live web live, Instagram concert, Instagram or Facebook concert, things like that. So you could see a lot about that. So as an activist, we had a responsibility. What was that responsibility? Once we knew that there was Corona coming in Senegal, we had one case. Y'en a marre decided itself to go meet the Minister of Health and discuss with him about what was the barriers, the measure that we should take to face the COVID. And then after that meeting with the Minister of Health, we came back in our office and discuss and decide that we will be not join the government, but we will join the action of helping the population to be safe, talking about COVID. The first thing we did was a song that Malal and Kilifeu lead with Simon, talking about COVID. And then we used the communication of the movement, communicate with the population about don't do this, do that, don't do this, do that, wear your mask, don't go like this, keep your distance. We don't say social distance, keep this and keep that. So we, as activists, we did that as well. But as an artist, it was very complicated moment, still a very complicated moment. Because I know that Senegal has like more, we are more open to open everything again than maybe US, I don't know, or maybe some part of US. But here, we already have the Magal, so the bars and the clubs are all open again. So we know that the venue will be open very soon. Then we will go back to on our daily activities. But it's very complicated for artists like us. But according, like for example, I can talk like Kilifeu having businesses out of the music. Those artists could survive more than the artists like maybe me without any business. So maybe another artist without any business could not survive probably in this difficult period. So it does in a way the context of ourselves in this COVID-19. Yeah. So you hear me? Okay, Samba.
It looks like we might have lost
Yes. No, I'm here. I had a quick issue here,
Okay.
but I'm back on. Fantastic, fantastic chat. So, if Malal would like to add something to that question very quickly, yes, and then we'll move to questions from the audience.
Do you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, in the pandemic, we were saying how to preserve the jobs of cultural actors or the job of hip hop artists. I was like trying to find ways to continue the job as a hip hop artist, trying to make some performances online like Restez Chez Vous Festival, but stay at home festival. It is a festival online that I organized with my organization in Gejawai, G Hip Hop, and trying to see how to maintain the job of the DJs, of the graffiti artists. I sensitizing people about the pandemic, but helping them to earn some money. For me, it was very important to find a way to survive, because we are artists. We cannot stay like 3 or 6 months without expressing ourselves artistically. We were in our studios recording songs because it was an opportunity to think about this situation, the situation of the what is the opportunity that this pandemic gave to us and gave to African population, and organizing live graffiti performances, organizing some workshops, online workshops in DJing, in writings, in photography, trying to create some tutorials, helping youth to learn in the pandemic by keeping distance between us. It was very. I worked with the Ministry of Health in Senegal, Ministère de la Santé et de l'Action Sociale. I worked with the Z of Dutch. I worked with the French Institute. I found some money just to give some jobs to the hip hop community. Right. It was important for me because we couldn't stay like doing anything. Yeah.
Very good, excellent. So let's I'll not stop here with my questions. I had a whole lot of them, but just move to the first question from the panel here. I mean from the audience, sorry. So this comes from an anonymous attendee who asks, in this age of technology, when it is easier to make information available, why is it hard to find reliable information about Y'en a marre on a website owned by the movement? For the sake of transparency, why is it that Y'en a marre doesn't have a website where they put all their reports regarding funding they get from NGOs? And maybe to put this in French, let me just read a translation that I had here. À l'ère de la technologie où il est plus facile de rendre l'information disponible, pourquoi est-il difficile de trouver des informations fiables sur Y'en a marre sur un site appartenant à ce mouvement? Par souci de transparence, pourquoi Y'en a marre n'a-t-il pas de site web sur lequel il mettrait toutes les informations concernant ces financements qu'ils reçoivent de ces ONG? So this is a question for Kurgi and Malal. Yeah.
Chad, go ahead.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So I think Y'en a marre is one of the first organizations who publish everything that they do. Everything that we are doing is public. All the campaign that we launch are public. All the fund that we get from any organization, even crowdfunding that we have, even fundraising that we did, even when just Senegalese participate, everything is out there. So if you go on the Y'en a marre page, you can follow everything that we are doing. every details is there. So I don't know which transparency that, how we could be more transparent than that, that publishing everything that we are doing on our own page. And then Kilifeu just say that whenever we have a new campaign funded by an organization, the first thing we do is to organize a press conference to talk about it, give the details, how much we get, how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna organize it, how it's gonna be like, what is the goal, what is the aim, what everything. So that's the first step we always do. And at the end of the program also, we organize another press conference with the partners themselves to discuss how the project was going on. So I don't know what could be more transparent than that.
Okay, good, good. So did you, well, I hope your, that attendee is still around, have to get the question to the answer for sure. Malal, did you want to add something?
No, I think that.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't see the website though personally, and I do a lot of research about Yanamar. I had the opportunity to look into it.
Yanamarisme.org.
Okay, voila. So I think this is important so it's le Yanamarisme.
There you have everything.
.org. Okay, so that's where you need to go to get that, to get those details. And this is a question from Dr. Maram Gay, who teaches here around in the Triangle, and who also I know wrote a great article about Yanamar. So she says, hello, it is good to see you all. Special hello to Thiat and Kilifeu, my brothers from Kaolack. I would like to know what Yanamar is doing in the fight against COVID-19, because they are known to fight for social justice and well-being. Another question is about hip hop and gender in Senegal. So let's have you deal with the first one, and then still have time and then move on. Yeah.
Malal, you want to go on? You want to go on?
Yeah. What okay. Can you repeat the question, please?
What is Yanamar doing now to help people in Senegal who are facing, challenges related to COVID-19?
Yeah, the first thing that Yanamar did about the COVID is to sensitize people, to make them understand that COVID is a very dangerous disease, and we must believe that this disease exists. That's by organizing caravans, by touring the country, producing songs to make people know what happens about this pandemic. And then we still defend. But when as you know, when you have a pandemic like this, it could be an occasion for politicians to do whatever they want, to vote laws, to do whatever. That's why very soon, very often, we give informations, online informations via Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, we give information.
Yeah, I think we're losing Malal. There's he keeps fading in and out. But I think we get his point regarding the question. And then let me just be a little bit selective because I have, one of my classes, which is Contemporary Islam in Africa, Contemporary Islamic Cultures in Africa. So they're all here, and one of them has a question for Yanama again. This attendee is asking, how has music allowed you to express your religion, Thiat and Malal and Kilifeu?
I mean, personally, I don't have no problem with my religion. So I think people have to understand that Senegal is a very specific country. For example, we have 95% of the population are Muslim, but the first president was Christian, while the opposition was Muslim. So then means that the Muslims supported the Christian guy to come on the power. So Senegal we don't have a conflict in between Muslims and Christians or ethnic groups or things like that. So we are in a very specific country in Africa. And then we are Muslim, but not Arabic. The particularity of Senegalese in Islam is that they practice their religion without being Arabic. They practice their religion with staying Senegalese, with the values of Senegalese, the Senegalese attitude, the Senegalese way of being in Islam, which is very open-minded. We are not, let's say, the Middle East or something like that. So if you come to Senegal, you will not even think that you are in a country that 95% are Muslim in somehow, because you will see people, there are clubs, there are bars, there are whatever. Here, I mean, there is no much differences in between Senegal and some other countries. Only during the Ramadan time, you can see that this country has more Muslims than Christians. So because many bars or whatever will be shut down. So that's the only way or the only moment that you can see that this country has more Muslims than Christians. So personally, Kurdi never had any issue with the religion. And we even talk about the religion in our song. Mm-hmm. We even sensitize people with our music. We even talk about the brotherhoods in our country. We even talk about how the dialogue in between Christians and Muslims, how Senegalese example could be the main example in the rest of Africa. So we never had any problem with that.
Very good, fantastic. Thank you very much, Thiat. There's another important, very interesting question here that from Emily Barros. We have a group of high school students that would like to see the snap again, please. I wonder if this is in reference to Pierce's snap earlier. Could you go ahead and do it again?
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to do it myself, but it go like this, just dap, and then you hold it, and then before you let go, you just kind of snap your fingers. It's like that. And it's kind of all in one motion, and the snap comes at the end, but that's how they do it in Ghana. I don't know, what's the dap? How do y'all shake hands in Senegal?
Yeah, we kind of do that too.
Okay.
Not this thing, but just this.
Yeah, just like fingers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very interesting because when I was doing my graduate studies in Ohio, I was with a lot of Ghanaians, and that's what they do. So it's.
But what it does is, in the States, different hoods have different dap. You have different slang, and I think the same is true. We've got our West African lineage that we can tie back, whether it's, Ivory Coast or Ghana, Senegal, Nigeria, it's different people, and there are some things that are similar through lines that we see. The colonizers, they carved up the country based on their economic interests, but sometimes that's split across our own cultural, boundaries and through lines. But the culture, every culture has their own dap. It's a unique way. In Japan, they bow, West Africa, up north they snap. Y'all do something slightly different. It's just really interesting to me.
Very good, very good. Excellent, and thank you for showing that dub again.
No problem.
So we have a question from Abby. Very interesting question here. I liked the comments about the griot tradition and simultaneously the appeal of hip hop as being something new and different. I wonder if the presenters might comment on their interplay of hip hop, pointing us towards the future and imagining new worlds, and as a link to the past and a method of communicating Black diasporic and or Senegalese histories. So, well, that's the question. I think all of you can actually chime in as you wish, starting with Kurgi. Are you muted? You're muted.
I haven't heard the question.
So Abby is basically asking how you're using, the heritage of griot art in your music, to speak to the past or to speak about the past, but also as a way of projecting towards the future.
I don't know if we are definitely, at least Kurgi, we are using the griot way to communicate, because hip hop, you like it or not, is coming from US. Okay, maybe by African Americans, they were from Africa for sure, and then they started there. The hip hop started in Bronx and then come to Africa, and then we didn't invent it. We didn't create the rules of hip hop. Like hip hop have like the 9 branches. This is this and this is that. The attitude, the that, the this and this. We was not the one who created this. So what we are doing is to use, because like the debate everywhere we've been, if there is any hip hop in Africa and hip hop in the US or hip hop in French, our own view is there is one hip hop practiced by Senegalese, Jamaicans, Americans, or somebody else, because we have the same rules, we have the same music in a way, the same tempo, the same rhythm. Only the flows and the languages are making it become the hip hop of Nas or the hip hop of Kurgi or the hip hop of Pierce. So that's the only difference that we could see in it. And then griot, at the first beginning of their role, it was not to say what we are living daily life. It was to sing about the king, to tell the king, you are the greatest one, the best one, blah, blah, blah. And our hip hop is definitely not like that. Our hip hop is totally the opposite of what the griot was doing. So we are the opposite of the griot in terms of the content of what we are saying. Because if the griot was singing about the king, how the king was great, how the king was super, we are talking about the opposite of that, definitely. So we're not into this, because no, we're not into that, with context. So yes, our hip hop is basically to context, to have a content which is very committed into politics and socially and whatever it is. Yeah.
Very good. Well, is Malal still with us? I think he's not. We probably lost him.
Maybe he has an issue, because it seems like it's.
Yeah, we've been losing him in and out.
Yeah.
So this is interesting, simply because there's actually a debate going on, in the literature about hip hop, not just in Senegal, but in Africa as a whole. So this trope of modern rappers, let's say this trope of rappers seen as modern griots, has been criticized. Sajnani, who's a colleague of mine teaching in Wisconsin, hasn't liked it, simply because he says, in response to an earlier work that's been produced about Senegalese rap, some of them, of course, did portray themselves as modern griots, but only in the sense that they spoke for the nation, right? So griots, historically, they were not just praise singers or eulogizing the king for to get kickbacks, but there were griots who dared to tell truth to the king, and they were the only ones who would do that. No one else could do that. So I can understand that there are limitations to calling rappers modern griots, because today most of those griots, unfortunately, are just praise singers selling their talent to the wealthy. We see that a lot in Senegal, right? Especially, I do not want to pick on some, but I must say the Mbalax singers, most of them do that. But there is griot verbal art is more than just praise singing, right? It's a lot of it. So it's beyond that, and I think that has trickled into rap in one way or another. But again,
somebody
yeah.
add something about that?
Huh?
Can I add something about it?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
So the griot who was singing for the king about the king was like in a family who was inside of the kingdom, feed by the whole family from grandson to the grandparent. They still family, and then only for the king. The griot that you are actually talking about, who was the one allowed to criticize the king in a way, they was doing it in a private circle. Those ones was pretty much older than the king most of the time, and coming from an older family, slave family, traditionally, which was very, very close to the king in a way to criticize him, but it was in private. But the way that hip-hop artists are criticizing is not private, it's public, it's out there. And it's not just to criticize, but it's also, in a way, they are committed on the field. Like, if I can take the example of Y'en a marre, we've been arrested so many times that I don't know how many times we've been arrested in a way. So that's a debate, comparison of those two griots. So I don't claim myself as a modern griot at all and at all. Maybe the Malal guy would be, but not us, definitely not.
So very good. This is fantastic, and we have come to the end. I'll never get enough of you guys. I wanted, before everybody goes, I wanted to play this song. This is fantastic. This is a Kyrgyz piece that I would like to share very quickly, and then I will leave it right there. I had it here, which is the very controversial song that came in recently. All right, so everybody can be moving around, as you wish.
soxna si gis nga de tubaab yi ñu ngi ñuy jaay lépp, ñu ngi ñuy jaay géej gi, ñu ngi ñuy jaay yéen ak sax netetu. À l'heure du bilan, rien à se mettre sous la dent. 7 ans ñu pète suñu temps di banditisme d'état sans précédent. Même truand, même fainéant, même incompétent, même vieillard dans le vent. Ñaata buubu golo ñoo transhumé, ñaata patron de presse acheté, ñaata juge sans dignité. Ñaata bavure policière, ñaata litige foncier, ñaata ministre yu cuune, ñaata scandale, ñaata ñoo am couverture médicale, ngay saraxe ay bourse sociale. Rien que ton parti, fàtte la patrie, pétrole sa rak, contrat say goro, marché public tubaab yi, sénégalais yi kolo kolo, même chat yi même chien yi, amuñu vergogne, simee seen cere suñu rongoñ, jox ñu suñu carte yi, dangaa tële, xam nga ne dañ la fi jëlee. Justice bi léegi dafa naax saay, li ko fi nag lépp daf ko jaay, ñi ànd ak moom ñoo ngi la saay, léegi dëgg Macky mooy saay saay, lépp lum la teg lu dul yomb.
Well, this is beautiful. I must say, I really love the song, and I like the way Kilifeu comes in, steering in. That's really beautiful. So I will just use my own time to to talk to you guys about this. But I don't know if Pierce, if you have any observations about this song, anything, any comments, to just close it right there.
It was a bop.
Mm.
That's all. It was dope. You know,
Chris, what
yeah.
you do? We want to know more about you as well. So if you can be connected, and this is Bissap, Senegalese juice.
Oh, nice. I've had some Bissap.
Bissap, yeah, okay. So we would love to know more about you.
I will send an email connecting both of you.
Gracias.
Yeah.
We want to support you from maybe the other side of the Atlantic, but we don't know. Yes.
Thank you. I would love that. I would love that. I was in Dakar a few years ago. Where are y'all based in Dakar? Or are you? Okay, great. Yeah,
great.
I absolutely love that city. I love the culture. I love the beaches. I love the bure. I love the chepujen.
Yep.
I love the sabar drumming. Everything about it. The bisu, everything, man. So, thank you.
Yep. Fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone. And I think I will let the director of our center to say the last few words, and then to close the session.
Thank you so much to everyone. Samba, Camara, thank you for organizing this. To our colleagues in Senegal, Jerejef, thank you for your time. We're age mates. I was in Senegal in 1995 as a student. And so this is really, it's just really special for me personally to hear you speak. And Pierce, thank you for joining us. One thing we do want to point out, Samba, a question came in. How can people find music? How can people download or find Yanamar music and the song that we just played, which frankly has a lot of resonance for Americans, I think, right now. We have a lot to learn from you, Yanamar, in the United States. How can we find the music? That's a question.
Yep, I think chat will get to it.
Okay.
So we have our website, which is Kirgi.net. Kirgi.net. So www.kirgi.net. So you can find everything in there.
And Kirgi is K-E-U-R-G-I.
UI, yes.
UI, right, I'm sorry. And
Maybe
we
write it down. Maybe,
I found it, and I'm just putting it right here on the comment.
Yeah.
okay, great. And we can have more of this information on our website as well.
And that site is named Sai. Very S-I-S-A-I.
Very good, fantastic.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Again, this will be recorded. This has been recorded, and it will be available on our website at the African Studies Center, africa.unc.edu. So thank you to all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kilifeu, chat. Pierce, thank you very much.
Peace.
Take care.
Thank
Take care. Ciao. Thank you.